As John is sitting at his desk, he is consumed with concern about how he's going to finish this new project that he has been assigned. There are many difficulties that will be involved: time, skill. Yes, John is almost overwhelmed by the responsibility that he has to take on. And yet, in the back of his mind, there's also a glimmer of hope. John is convinced that he'll be able to not only complete the project, but to do so in a way that will help the overall timeline of the rest of the projects that he'll be involved in. So now, have you ever found yourself in that particular situation? As you might notice, a lot of times I use the introduction to our podcast to set the stage for something that has happened to me recently. And this particular instance is no different. I was assigned a project last week that involved updating quite a few computers. And the reason why this update was necessary is because the older the software that you use on any device that you have, the more holes in security you will find. You see, the older the software, the more time individuals have had to find these particular holes that they can use to compromise the device and maybe take some of your personal information. In layman's term, we call it hacking. And so it was my responsibility to take these computers to the latest version of Windows 10 that was available. And so when the list of assignments came out, radiology had 52 computers that needed to be updated. 52. And so because I am support for radiology, these are my physicians and nurses, and then it was my responsibility then to make the updates. And just like John, at the beginning, there was quite a bit of hesitation on my part, I must admit. Because when you're giving such a large project, once you're giving it at times, it can be overwhelming. Especially when your name is attached to the project itself. But there's one thing about me, and a lot of people that know me, they can co-sign with this. Anything that has my name attached to it, I'm going to give you the very best that I possibly have. Because it represents who I am, it represents my skill set, it represents my expertise. And those are things that I don't take lightly. My father used to say that a man only has his word, and he's only as good as his word. And so this is a representation of me, and I gave my word that I will finish the project. And to my surprise, we were able to finish the project, and we were able to do it before the given deadline. But now, really within this particular project, my first large one, there were some things that came up. And what I mean by that is, anytime you're faced with adversity, anytime a difficult situation hits you, then it exposes some things. It highlights the strengths that you have, but then it also exposes your weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses that I found out is that in regards to communicating with other individuals, there might be some difficulty there. And the reason why I say that is because in this particular instance, we were given the task to update these particular devices. But then there were individuals who were involved who, even though they weren't going to be doing any of the work, they wanted to schedule the way that the work would be done. Now, of course, I'm in agreement with the work being done, and I'm in agreement with being efficient. But I am not in agreement with this particular instance where you're not going to be participating in the work, but you're going to schedule when updates need to happen. No, I don't think I'm in agreement with that. But at any rate, after I stepped away, in a sense, and really looked at the task that we had been given, I came to the conclusion that I would hear them out. I would hear what they had to say precisely, and I would sit there and think about whether or not this would help us to finish the project on time and for it to be something that we could be proud of. And I'm happy to say that it was. certain parts of it, I would say. Okay. But since it was my project, I had to say on how it was going to be done, and we proceeded in the way that everybody involved could live with, right? They were okay with. So now back to the weaknesses and the strengths. But I found that one of the strengths that I have, that I hadn't really used in the past, is the ability to push through. And so dealing with 52 computers. Now some of those computers were off campus, a few of them were, but the majority of the computers that needed to be updated were on campus, and they had to be updated within the span of a week. And so the ability just to push through a situation, even though it might be difficult, it's something that I found to be a strength. And I appreciated that knowledge, because if you are an individual who is wise, if you're thinking about your future, you know that there are going to be difficulties that are going to come. They're coming, and you can't get around that. They're coming, but are you prepared? Well, one thing that I found I think would be a benefit to us. Now, usually Tony Robbins, I don't really subscribe to a lot of things that he says and does, but this particular article caught my attention. Okay? And so it's talking about things that you can do to overcome adversity. And 5 of them are really important. So I read you the 5. Be prepared. That's the first one. The second one, practice positivity. That sounds like something I've heard before. Anyway, the next one, stay disciplined, stay focused, find the lesson. So now, in regards to those 5, I think that it's a powerful combination of things, because if you're already prepared, now you can't prepare yourself for everything, but do you have the right mindset? Are you one who approaches today with the thought in your mind that you're going to be successful? You're going to meet the challenge, whatever it may be. And if that's your mindset, then you're prepared. You're ready to go. Another one that I appreciated is to stay disciplined, because a lot of times in difficult situations, especially in those situations that you don't have any control over, it's a good thing to stay disciplined with the routine that you have in place. One of my routines that I have in place is every morning I wake up, I read a portion of scripture, and I pray. And then throughout the day, I'm thinking about what I read, and then in the afternoon, I'm going to go and work out. So that's a routine. And what happens is, as long as you stick to your routine, then it grounds you, because these are things that you can control. These are things that are within your grasp to continue. And so it has an effect where it grounds you, and it doesn't allow you to go off balance. And when you're dealing with a difficult circumstance or a situation, you need something to ground you so that you're not completely swallowed up by that particular situation. Okay? And then I also appreciated that point that says find the lesson. In everything that you do, there's a lesson. Whether you are successful or whether things turn out badly, there is always a lesson. And that lesson, if you can pick it out, is something that you can carry with you to the next set of circumstances. And who knows, that lesson that you were able to figure out and pick out may allow you to deal with the situation easier. That wisdom that you acquired may help you handle the situation better. Who knows? But still, endeavor to find the lesson. And then the last one, of course, you know I say the best for last, is to practice positivity. Practice it. And it's something that you absolutely have to practice, because in your day-to-day life, you're surrounded by individuals who feed off negativity. You ever had that? I know that you have. You've been around individuals, and the only thing they can think of to say is something negative. Every time you're in their presence, they're expressing negativity. So now if you're practicing positivity, you're moving those individuals out. You're moving those thoughts out, right? You're doing your best to stay positive. And that's one way to deal with adversity, because when the situation hits you that's out of your control, then we have a tendency to react in the way that we have reacted in the past, right? We're creatures of habit. So if in the past you made it a practice to be positive, when something hits you, you'll employ the same practice. You'll be positive. You'll take all of the negativity that's involved in the situation and push it out, because you're trying to deal with the situation successfully. And you will be able to. You'll be able to. Positivity allows you to do that. So those 5 things, I really appreciated them, and I wanted to share them with you too, because it's necessary nowadays, because there are so many difficulties that we have to face on a day-to-day basis when it comes to family, when it comes to friendships, when it comes to employment. There are so many difficulties. But with these 5 strategies, I think we'll be able to handle those difficulties, because it's always our intention to be positive and to be productive. And these 5 will help us to do that. Well, I hope you enjoyed the thought this morning, right? This Monday morning, we'll be able to wake up, get some things done, be productive. And so you know how we end this. Do something positive today, and watch how it comes back to you in greater measure. And that's the reason why I want to bring this podcast to you this morning, because adversities are coming. I'm not being ominous, I'm just being realistic. Adversities are coming, and the way that you handle these adversities can show you where you're strong and where you're weak. And so then you have opportunity to make the necessary adjustments, whatever they may be. Well, we hope you appreciate the information. We are going to plan on having a productive week, and I know that you'll be successful at that. So you know we love you. Peace.